Your setbacks are your stepping stones. So before we dive in, as always, my name is Mike Poglese, co-founder of Automated Coaching Engine, where we partner with expert coaches, help them stack more cash without sacrificing more of their time. Now, like I was saying, your step backs are your stepping stones. And basically what I mean by that is oftentimes in life, we experience adversity. We experience things that at the time feel like they're the absolute worst things that we could ever possibly go through. And what we don't realize oftentimes is at that moment, it's hard to even understand this, but in reality, these are all stepping stones for us to get to the next level. As long as we are processing this information in a way that's going to benefit us in the long view. And what I mean by that is if we're going through a hard time, I always say it's either a blessing or it's a lesson. And so what I mean by that is you either execute on something, it turns out to be a blessing, whereas in 1 + 1 did equal 2, but there's also times where it's a lesson. Things didn't always go as planned. We might have not have seen the outcome that we wanted to see. And because of that, it's not a loss, it's a lesson. We're learning from the past, we're learning from our mistakes, and we are optimizing for the future. And so I've experienced this multiple different times, honestly on a fucking day-to-day basis. But there's been some key moments in my life where I look back at them and I was like, damn, that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And the last time was probably like back in, I think, January of 2020. I got arrested, and just a big like misunderstanding. To be honest, I wasn't really like in the wrong for really anything. I just kind of like one of those like wrong place, wrong time type of things. And long story short, I ended up spending 3 days in jail. And while I was in jail, I was basically just processing everything in my head. And I came out and I literally felt like it was the best thing that had ever happened to me. At the time, I was pretty far like deep as far as like rock bottom. And I shouldn't even really say that I was like that far rock bottom. It was just one of those situations where it was like an eye-opening experience. I had been in some trouble in the past, and that's ultimately what happened. It just kind of caught up with me. And what had happened when I came out, I was just in the mindset of like, I'm never putting myself through that again. That's kind of why I say that was one of the turning points in my life, because it started to make me realize that you aren't owed anything in this life. Anything that you want, you must like push forward and execute to get. And anything you don't want, you must push forward and execute to not get. And so, you know, it goes kind of both ways. And the reason that I think this was one of the biggest turning points is because it ultimately showed me, like I said, I'm not invisible, but at the same time, I have full control over me, my actions, and I need to control that. I need to understand that. And so I think a lot of us go through these times, these situations, and at the moment, it's very easy to be like, damn, this is the worst fucking thing that I could ever possibly be going through right now. But what we need to realize is there's always something to learn from it. There's always an outside perspective from it. And I had multiple situations like this. Like my mom's ex-husband tried to kill her. That was another one of those like crazy things that at the time was fucking terrible. And, you know, we learned a lot from it. We learned a lot of as far as our relationships, things like that with the family and stuff like that. And we learned a lot from that. And just numerous times, business situations where shit has gone very far south. We've lost lots of money, and, you know, we're just like, oh, it is what it is, you know, like what can we learn from this? And there's always a lesson. And like I said, while it might seem like the worst fucking thing possible at that time, it's usually not the case. It's usually something that is one of the best lessons that we could learn from our lives. And that's why our setbacks are our stepping stones. It's very much like a stock market. It goes up, has a little retrace, it goes up, has a little retrace, and it goes up. But ultimately, it's constantly going up. What we often miss here when we look at people's lives is those setbacks that they've gone through. I would argue to say that pretty much every big person that we look up to has experienced these things where they were ultimate setbacks in their life at that time period, but they broke through them, they learned from them, and it ultimately was a turning point in the outcome that they were able to achieve in their life. And so I'm sure you right now, you could think about some setbacks that you've had in your life that were ultimately game changers as far as the lessons that were uncovered. So I want you to do that. Take a moment and and think about the times that you thought were fucking terrible at that time. Maybe it was a loved one breaking up with you, or, you know, a relationship ending, or you lost a parent or a relative, a spouse, you went to jail, you know, you got expelled. Whatever the case might be, think about it and figure out what was the end result. Are you better because of that, or are you worse? And if you're better, then that's proof that your setbacks, your stepping stones to the next stage of your life. And so when you experience something in the future, it'll be easier for you to understand that it's okay. This is just one of those lessons I need to learn so I can get to the next level. And that's exactly what happened to me in that time period where I was mentioning, where I went to jail for those 3 days. You know, I just knew when I was in there, like, this is just one of the lessons I need to learn to go to the next level. And fun fact is that year ended up being my best year ever in business. Even to this date, I still haven't beat it, I don't think. I mean, it ultimately just proved to be something huge in my life that needed to happen for me to get to the next level. And so think about things that you've gone through in the past that have gotten you to the next level. Another big thing for me was getting expelled from college. That was, like, you know, at the time, like, honestly, very hard for me. I wanted it deep down, but I knew that my family, you know, there was going to be people that looked down on me because of that. But I ultimately knew it was my time to do what I wanted to do, to execute on my dreams, and to make something happen with my life. And that's what happened. It made me really passionate about who I am, who I want to be, where I wanted to go, and ultimately just gave me the time, the freedom to execute on all of that. And so, like I said, that was another one of those stepping stones in my life where it was a setback that turned out to be an ultimate stepping stone in my life, because, you know, I got expelled from college. I mean, that's fucking terrible. My family thought very badly about it, rightfully so. You know, looking back at it, I'm 30 fucking times better than I was at that time. Mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that stuff is way better since that time. So it was one of those situations where it was an ultimate stepping stone for me. So like I said, think back on something that has happened to you in the past that you thought was fucking terrible at that time, but you've ultimately grown from it. And that is proof, like I said, proof to the pudding that your setbacks are ultimately your stepping stones. And so the next time you experience a setback, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Look for the lesson that you can learn and keep moving on. Operate in the mindset that this might be the next setback you need to get to the next level, to build those stepping stones to get to the next level. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll check you on the next one. Adios. Peace.